done things better. And another thing about this topic is that it does create physical ailments. They had a nasty attitude. They had a struggling with a crack addiction and has cancer because he won't forget, because he don't know how to let go, because he refuses to heal on the inside, for his body. And when you don't heal what's on the inside, it starts to operate in your physical body, in your flesh, and it becomes cancerous in some sort of way. You ever wonder why certain men have dementia? It's not on the top of a physical picture. It's because they don't let go of that thing that was tormenting them. It torments them in their minds. Right. Gemini, I see you. I'm seeing you. Like I haven't said anything, but I'm seeing you. I know you know what I'm putting down. Because I'm telling you, there's so many people out there, and I'm like, as a healer, I cannot keep my mouth closed anymore. So it's like, you know, I have to share this. I share this. I have to share this. So they can share that. Right? So that is why I said we have to do this topic. Because it's getting too common. I'm seeing too many men out here that's joking. That's the scary part. Because it's young men. You haven't even reached service. You're still assimilate on your credit. You're out here falling apart. Baby, how you falling apart? You're not at right to have a midlife crisis. What is going on? Help me understand. So many people is going through this. So many people living things and say, I can't let it go. Give me the tools to let it go. So right. That's why we have this topic. So that you can understand how to let it go. Okay, so now give me
That's right. No, I'm glad you gave that prelude, and just to build off of what you said, I'm trying to get my setup together. I'm live on YouTube as well. I'm just making sure that the YouTube community can hear me. So that's what I was doing. Okay, good. So they can hear me. Good. All right. So just a segue off of what you just said, I'm glad that you gave that introduction because it is so vital for us to cater not only to the women but to the men. And yeah, we have men's, what is it, men's month, men's week, men's day. And I don't think that's enough time to even scratch the surface of the amount of healing that we need to offer to our men. We're going to get into it when we dive into tonight's topic. So I just wanted to make sure that I was able, that the YouTube community can hear me and they can. So that's good. Good. All right. All right. Just make sure they can hear me. All right, so let's go ahead and get into today's topic. And thank you guys for joining us tonight. We just want to make sure that everybody is feeling welcomed and feeling loved, appreciated, and valued. So thank you guys for joining us. All right, so what does refusing to heal actually look like? It's not just ignoring therapy or skipping journaling. Sometimes it's loud, and other times it's quiet. Oh wait, hold on. Hold on, guys. Because I added a lot of things to my notes. So let me make sure this is the updated version. I have a lot of notes on this because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I think that's not my updated one. So hold on.
Okay. And as you look for that, I will say, I'll mention it again for sure. The week before last, I had to pull some cards for myself, and this is the card that I got, butterfly. And of course, I read it, and it's talking about transformation. And I will say this: everywhere I have gone since then, I've seen nothing but butterflies, and I'm not talking about like real butterflies. I mean butterflies on T-shirts, butterflies on hats, butterfly earrings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scrolling, and there's a message that has a butterfly print on it, and I said, "Spirit, I received this." And so, also while talking about this topic, I cannot not talk about the butterfly.
And you know, butterflies are also symbolic of transformation, transformative journeys, transforming your entire life. So if you see a butterfly, with everyone within the sound of my voice, if you see a butterfly, it means things are changing. You are transforming. Your life is changing. So pay attention to what color butterfly you see, because each color represents something as well. All right, so I have my updated notes. Thank you for your patience. Let's get into it. All right, so what does it look like when someone refuses to heal? All right, sometimes it's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle. Sometimes it's hidden behind a perfectly timed joke or a shrug that says, "I'm fine." You know, sometimes people will, what's that joke that Robin Williams always said? He was a sad clown, like someone who was always laughing, or who always had the laughing makeup, but he was always sad. And this is sometimes what someone may exhibit when they are hurting inside, but they have a smile on their face. So you wouldn't know that they're actually hurting because they don't show those signs, okay? And this is what refusing to heal looks like, all right? So from the time boys are small, these messages start. Stop crying, toughen up, be a man, don't be soft, all right? And these words just aren't phrases, they're lessons. And those lessons become rules about how to feel, or more accurately, how not to, right? And I want to speak to the men out there too. I know it may not be a lot of men on right now, but how many times were you told, maybe not even just by your parents, but by girls, toughen up, like, stop being a wuss, or like, what are you crying for? And in our culture, we're not really seasoned on how to cater to men that are hurting or that are showing emotion. Our response is usually, okay, just toughen up, like, suck it up, you're a man, you're supposed to have it together and get it together. And that's not the way to go about it. And that starts from a young age, like Bessie said. And it's almost like men are conditioned to believe that their feelings aren't valid, like they're not supposed to be soft. And crying and showing emotions is not soft. If anything, that's a sign of strength, because you're showing that you're vulnerable. You're showing that you feel something that you're not able to articulate, so tears are coming out. So if anything, that's a sign of strength, I believe, right?
Yeah, so you're pushing through the pain.
You're pushing through the pain quietly, right? You're pushing through the pain. So this is how emotional self-denial is planted. Boys are taught to disconnect from vulnerability, not because they don't feel the emotions, but because they're taught that feelings are dangerous, that when you show your emotional side, you may be taken advantage of, or if you show that you have feelings, that shows a sign of weakness. Whatever the case may be, they're taught that you should not show your emotions, period. All right. So what happens when you grow up learning that pain must be swallowed and never spoken? You build armor, okay? You build up walls from people that you're not even supposed to be separated from, okay? You basically have a shield over you, and nobody can break through because you've added layer after layer after layer the older you get. And it's sometimes looks like overworking instead of confronting anxiety. You ever met someone who just wants to work all the time and you never catch them with the day off? Have you ever sat and thought why this person is working like a Hebrew slave? Why they never want to enjoy their vacation? Why they never want to take time to just sit in the sun, put them dogs in the dirt and ground? 9 times out of 10, it's because that person is avoiding something, and that avoidance may be themselves, their higher selves, knowledge of self, looking in the mirror, their reflection. They may be avoiding themselves, okay? Because when you spend time with yourself, it's like all you have is yourself. All you have are your subconscious thoughts. All you have are memories. All you have is the person looking back at you in the mirror. And sometimes that's tough for a lot of people. Sometimes it's hard to look back at that reflection because that reflection carries memories. And what happens when those memories aren't very good? It's tough. It's heavy. It's dark. All right. That can also look like shutting down during arguments because emotional expression feels unsafe. And I've experienced this in past relationships, not really knowing how to talk, or the other person not knowing how to express their emotions. So they just shut down, or they over talk, or they talk over you because they don't really know how to have a conversation. It's more like a monologue, speaking to some people, versus a dialogue where it's two people actually engaging in respectable conversation. All right. It can also look like lashing out in anger because sadness has no manly outlet. Okay. When you are speaking about someone who was not taught how to regulate their emotions, nor were they taught emotional intelligence, that can sometimes look like them lashing out, screaming, instead of having a conversation, because talking like this is looked at as weak or not manly enough, right? Using humor or sarcasm to deflect any real conversation, all right? And this can be just someone that's joking when it's not time for jokes, it's not time for games, okay? They're joking because they don't want to get to the real deal, Holyfield, which is the problem. Because at the end of the day, no matter how many jokes you tell, that problem is still going to be there until you address it. You can deflect it as long as you want, but the problem is still going to be there, right? Avoiding therapy. Now, this is a big one, especially in the Black community. And I have to speak freely about this because I've experienced this in my family. A lot of our people don't believe in therapy. We believe that it's not conducive to have an outside person come in, hear all of our business, and make a conscious decision on how we should rectify these issues. Okay. A lot of the baby boomers, I'll speak about them, they don't believe in therapy. So, what we need to really understand, understand, and overstand is that therapy is a solution, it's not the problem. Okay. Having an unbiased person come in and listen to each party, each side, and make an educated guess on what the issue is not a problem. It's a solution. And I think a lot more people need to be open to therapy. Okay. Because people look at therapy as a sign of weakness. I don't need therapy, but I need some stranger coming in my house or talking to me about what I need to do. They don't know me, you know? So don't look at therapy as the problem. Sometimes therapy is a solution. Okay. So this is refusing to heal. It's coping through avoidance, aggression, or denial. And often the man doesn't even realize he's doing it. Now, why does he not realize he's doing it? He doesn't realize he's doing it because he's been doing it for his whole freaking life. So it doesn't look like it's a problem. It doesn't look like it's an issue because the man has been doing it their entire life. And they've been taught these techniques, these traits their entire life. So it doesn't feel like it's wrong. So, how does it affect relationships? Because remember, whatever we've gone through from our childhood, from our past relationships, is going to affect our future and our future relationships. So, unhealed men don't only carry their wounds, they often pass them on in relationships. And what does this look like? Emotional unavailability. Okay. They check out when things get real, and then they check back in when things are good. And guess what? The problem is still there. Whether you check in or check out, my dude, the problem is still there. So This can look like someone who is basically, ghosting you when things get rough, and you don't hear from them for a while until they think that you've forgotten about the issue, or they think the issue has been solved, and then they check back in. And again, the issue is still there. You just have to deal with it at a later time, but the problem is still there, right? It can also look like communication breakdowns. They struggle to articulate their inner world. And this is a good one because I was watching a speaker, one of my favorite speakers actually, and she was talking about how people need to learn how to expand their vocabulary, because the first thing someone says when they're mad is what? I'm pissed. Oh, I'm pissed. And pissed is not an emotion. It's not an emotion. There's so many other words you can use. I'm livid. Okay. I'm heartbroken. I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm sad. There's so many different things or words you can use besides I'm pissed. And I think if more people knew more words on how to articulate what they're feeling inside, it'd be easier for people to have these uncomfortable conversations. Right. So it's just about learning how to communicate and learning all the different emotions, because there are thousands of emotions. If you Google the different types of emotions to feel, thousands of emotions come up, thousands of them, and I guarantee you, piss is not going to be like at the top, because piss is not a emotion. Okay, all right. So, what does it also look like in relationships? Control issues, needing to dominate because vulnerability feels like chaos. All right. Someone that feels like they need to control the conversation or the person, because they feel like if they don't take complete control of the situation, they're not operating in their masculine energy. And control is not masculine energy. Okay. Control is actually low vibrational. Okay. You control a dog when you're walking a dog. You control the stove when you're cooking something. You don't control a person. Okay. That's not love, and that's not healthy. So that's one red flag. Passive aggression or stonewalling. Okay, silence becomes their weapon, and this kind of ties into emotional unavailability. Unavailability, when you use silence as your weapon, when you're giving someone the cold shoulder because you don't really know how to have that conversation. So silence is the answer. And again, the problem is still there. You just have to have the conversation at a later date, right? And last but certainly not least, struggles with intimacy. Okay. Physical presence without emotional connection. And this could mean the person is there physically, but it's no emotional connection. And this can look like emotional unavailability, someone who's not in tune with their emotions. They don't know how to articulate how they're feeling, nor do they know how to have a conversation without yelling, screaming, or speaking over you. All right. And this hits home because I actually had a conversation with someone, and I was explaining to them, or I was leaving a message for them. So it wasn't a conversation, but I was explaining to them that I know why I am attracted to emotional men that are not emotional men that are emotional unavailable. Because my dad, as hard as he worked, as much as he provided for the family, as much as he was there, he didn't know how to regulate his emotions because no one taught him that. So, what do women usually go after when they get older? They tend to look for men like their father, and I believe that men look for women like their mothers, right? So, I've never seen my father cry, and I've never really seen him show emotion. So that is what I typically, you know, would be drawn to in men. So we don't even realize all of these traits and characteristics that we're carrying have been passed down from our bloodline, okay, from our parents and their parents, and so on and so forth. So this is why healing is so essential, guys, all right? Because you could be attracted to something that's not even good for you, that's not even healthy for you, but you're just used to it. All right. Like you've seen it growing up. So this is what you think is good for you. But I just want to throw that in there because that was something that came up and came out, and it was good to um, channel those emotions and figure out, why I was attracted to a certain type based off of what I was shown growing up or what I saw growing up. All right. So, what does healing look like? All right. Sometimes healing is not loud. And it's not easy. Let's be honest. Healing is not easy. It's very tough, especially when you have been taught your entire life not to cry, not to show emotion. But it starts with permission, permission to feel, permission to speak, and permission to cry. It looks like saying, I need help. Listen, I don't have it all together. I need to talk. I need a shoulder to cry. I need a listening ear. This is what healing looks like. Sitting in discomfort instead of numbing it. And a lot of people need to do this. They need to be comfortable being uncomfortable because a lot of people heal by numbing or try to get over something by numbing the pain. This can look like distractions. This can look like substance abuse. This can look like keeping yourself busy with work, as I mentioned earlier. So, sitting in it is better than distracting yourself because when you sit in it, then you're faced to face it. You're forced to face it basically. Okay, you're forced to look at it head on and you're forced to say, okay, this is what has not been working for me. So in order for me to get to a place where I'm comfortable expressing my emotions, having hard conversations, what do I need to rectify within myself to get there, to get to that point? All right. And it's also apologizing for the hurt that you caused, why you were hurting, because hurt people hurt people. I know you
Yes,
guys hear
ma'am.
this all the time. Hurt people hurt people. So it's apologizing to the people that you didn't do right by because you were hurt. You were hurt. So you were hurting. All right. And as I said earlier, going to therapy, even if it feels awkward, therapy helps. I guarantee you guys, you'll feel a lot better after you go to therapy. All right. And learning to hold space for your own emotions and others is essential. Hold space for yourself. I know you hold space for other people. Learn how to hold space for yourself. All right. There is
Yes.
real strength in not being silent. There's strength in not being silent. Be vocal about what you're feeling and talk through it. Okay. A lot of people think that, they can just get through something just by, like telling themselves, all right, you know what, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Talk through it. It's not okay right now, but it's going to be better. And it's going to be better because XYZ. Okay. Don't just tell yourself it's going to be better. Tell yourself why it's going to get better. Okay. Be articulate. Okay. Because real masculinity is not emotional suppression. It's about being open and honest about how you feel and what you're feeling. Okay. So if you're a man listening to this, ask yourself, what have I been carrying in silence? What parts of me have I hidden because I was told they weren't man enough? And if you're someone who loves a man like this, approach them with empathy, okay? Understand that what looks like distance may be fear, okay? What looks like anger may be pain, and what looks like strength may actually be armor. I'm going to say that again. What looks like anger may be pain. What looks like strength may actually be armor, and what looks like distance may be fear. Okay? Because not all the time when someone disappears, they're disappearing to be with someone else. Sometimes they're disappearing because they're scared. They're
Uh-huh.
scared shitless. Okay, they're shaking in their boots. All right. Sometimes when someone is angry, they're really hurting. That anger is just pain. And sometimes when they're trying to be strong, they're trying to hold up their arms so you can see their muscles. They're actually just trying to put an armor in front of you so you can't see how much they're hurting. Okay. Um, let's break these cycles, guys. Let's
Yes.
break these cycles. Let's raise these boys who know that being human is not a weakness. Okay. Crying is not a weakness. Okay. And let's be men who know that healing is not optional, it's essential. It's essential for every relationship, okay? For you being a father, for you being a husband, for you being a teacher, for you being a great coworker to be able to work with. Like, healing is essential, okay? Because the cost of refusing to heal is too high. The cost of it is too high. Just think about what you're passing down to your children and what they're going to be passing down to them. Look what was passed down to you. You don't want that passed down to your children, okay? Okay, you're shifting timelines. You're the glitch in the matrix. So you're changing the whole narrative here. And how are you changing it? By choosing to heal. All right, that's all I got. That's all I got for you, okay? Change the narrative. My beautiful brothers, change the narrative, okay? Choose healing over hurting. All right?
I have to say that there was a point that you just said about when a person goes away. Now, I did this, I looked this up years ago, and another form of anger is depression. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And they were like, if you think about it, the underlying base of anger is like, can be depression, because when you're depressed, you're extremely sad about that this thing didn't work.
Right.
And so you become angry that it didn't work because why? You had these high expectations for these things and it didn't work. So you become angry, but sometimes it will start out as depression. So I have heard some therapists like in my circle to say like, sometimes that is why we always get to the root of that problem, because not all the time anger is just anger. It could just be depression coming off or anger, right?
Right.
And so I wrote down a few things because I was like, I don't want to forget them, but a few points that I want to say, and some of them will overlap what Ashley has already said.
Okay.
So when you were talking about overworking, I was like, girl, stop talking about me in front of these people.
Stop exposing me. That's the damn.
And let me be clear when I say that about the overworking, because she was absolutely dead on. Because I used to overwork.
Yeah.
And when I asked myself, I had a sit down conversation with myself, Brian, why are you working so hard? Like, you literally have friends to tell you to slow down, to take a break. Why is that? Right? And when I got to the why, it was because I didn't want to be alone. And to paint a picture, as a child, I was always left the majority of my time by myself. All I have known is me by myself. So when COVID hit and quarantine, okay, so I'll just be in my norm. I'm not going to be able to go to the office anymore and see people and be amongst people, but I'll be by myself. Okay. Yeah. So what would I do? I would bring people in because I didn't want to be by myself. I would put myself in certain situations because I didn't want to be by myself. I would work just to be around multitudes of people as an intuitive. Yeah. Do you know how stressful that is when you're always placing yourself inside of crowds as an intuitive, picking up everybody's thoughts and feelings and moods and sometimes physical pain. Yeah. It's a weight on you. And I was just like, wow. So when I had to release that thing, now I'm back and I'm just like, oh, baby, I love my space. I love peaceful. You said I'll be by myself. Oh, you going to cancel the plans at the last minute? Oh, baby, great. I can go there. Gas is saved, money not spent. Let me go ahead and cook something for myself, right? I look at it different ways now. You know, hey, let's go out. Oh, no, I'm not feeling like going out. Oh, okay. Well, baby, my friends can tell you, I will go to the spot and turn up by myself. Listen, if my cousin Michi was online, she would tell you that's our thing. We gonna party. We know how to party and boost it up. Even if we got to do it ourselves, we gonna do it. Hey, I'm from the East Coast. I love me some house music. Come on. I love me something that I can move to. But guess what? I also have learned And this is something I often talk about the time when I went through a ayahuasca ceremony. So I had a chance to meet some of those ancestors. Those ancestors began to talk to me. They was like, "You know why you dance the way you did? It's because it's in your blood." So when I'm proud that I have like my ancestry is broad, especially if you're an American and you start doing the work, you'll see how broad your ancestry is. I have a lot of roots from the Caribbean. I have a lot of roots from Africa, even Asia, right? All cultures that have some sort of dance. They were like, baby, when you dance, that's why you find freedom. That's why sometimes you get in a trance and you don't even know why. That's why sometimes you put other people in a trance with your dance because it's in your blood to move. And when you are in that headspace, you can't move the way you're supposed to physically or spiritually or mentally because it's all blocked. So when you heal, you release those things.
Right.
You release those blockages so that you can move how you're supposed to, talk how you're supposed to, encourage yourself how you're supposed to, right? And then the next thing is, as you was talking about secrets, like when you said like certain, I think you had gotten onto like family things and like man up and stuff, right? When you was talking about that. The other thing of that is the saying, what happens in this house
stays in this house. Yep.
So imagine you being a young man, a little boy, and you go through a traumatic event from a family member, or you see it, and they tell you to stop crying, man up. And you better not say nothing because whatever happens in this house stays in this house. So you bottle it up. And now people don't even know why you are in that head space. They don't understand why that 5-year-old goes to class every day and takes the fire engine truck and is throwing it at his peers, throwing it at the teacher, because he has all this and anger that he can't tell nobody to get it out because he was instructed not to share what happened in the house because it's supposed to stay in that house. What happens is when that child comes home and the parent don't recognize it as a problem because, oh, that's just him acting out. No, that's just frustrated. That's being frustrated because he don't know how to process that what happened. He don't know how to process why his mother and father was fighting and choking each other.
That's a time for help.
We see that in a toxic relationship, baby. You need to break up because y'all not good. Why y'all choking each other? And you choking each other in front of this child who doesn't understand that you can lead to death. You not being here anymore. I want you to make last week we were about basically content creator couples where they get the murder suicide.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that.
My God. Like, talking about content creator, see it. Oh, I love this couple. They making content and it's all just a show. And they don't process what they're going through. And then nobody else kills or is sitting down unalive. The same thing. Right? The other person. And now we don't have that any more content. But we call content creators because they didn't know how to fix it. And then when you're talking about the men and when it comes to like even responsibilities, right? You wrote down some men abandon their children, right? In the process of them not healing because it does become too much for them. They don't know how to handle it. And I wrote underneath child support. Child support is not just money.
Right.
It's supporting your child. There are men who literally don't know how to support their child. But a drug. Sex is often used as that gateway to deal with the problem that they don't know how to handle. So I'm not gonna talk to you about what's going on with me, but maybe you said we just had to fight. We have it. Okay, come on, let's get it. That was good. Yeah, man. I hate that we got to fight just to have sex like that. Like we got it in. That ain't good. That's unprocessed anger and sadness and depression and so you ready to go out and bang. And then I have to take it. That's why there's so many guys that don't mind sleeping right? Because they have to deal with the emotional thing. Man, I ain't ready. I just want to do what I do. But at the same time, you deposit it into someone who wants a relationship. So if a man is not upfront about what he wants and his needs, he's going to sleep with whomever just fulfill that little itch. Like, oh, I just got to get down, I'll scratch it. But they don't get why he doesn't get to you get in contact with tonight, you got to use cream. That's medicated cream that you got to do that. You can't just scratch it and be like, oh, I'm good. No, you have to take into account why you have this. Right? What are you trying to avoid? What are you running from? It's time for you to stop running. And then, as he was talking, I heard this quote from Spirit. Men unhealed is like living life as an eclipse. Living men unhealed is like living your life in an eclipse. And it's double meaning because the man is represented by the sun. Everywhere you go. Sun is male energy, moon is female energy. Mm-hmm. What happens in the eclipse is that, yes, the moon is in front of the sun, or the sun can be in front of the moon, right? Right. Either way is a huge shadow that's cast, right? And when that shadow is cast, mm-hmm. You can't see it, right? It's completely dark. It brings in coldness, right? Nothing glows in dark. It needs the light. Right. So when a man is in his dark energy, in his dark space, he can shine the bright light. The sun literally pulls. So right, the moon controls gravity, right? It pulls that, right? That's why the ocean moves the way it do. That's why oceans move the way it do. That's why they see the moon. You know, whatever's happening with the moon controls your ocean. Right. That sun controls the moon, right? Because the sun rays goes into the soil and pulls things up. It casts. Thank you, Spirit. Spirit just reminded me that, and I was saying this. The light's purpose, the sun's purpose is to shine light where darkness is. It's supposed to God. That is why the sun is represented by leadership and taking control and pulling those things, right? Pulling by the straps and getting the work done, right? That's what we say, right? It is that energy. And I also think about it. When do most people go to work? In the daytime. In the daytime, yeah. Because they have a clear vision of what is happening, right? When a man has a clear vision of what he wants, he can go for it. When a man doesn't have vision in sight, he's blind. He can't see where he's going. He's feeling and trying to figure things out. But until he opens his eyes and see, really see, he can't control anything. Right? And the last thing point that was moves or unfavorable moves. He don't know how to get out of his funk. He's so stuck. And the door could be right there, the answer could be right. Thank you, Spirit. And where's my? It's in the other room. But in one of my decks, the Five of Pentacles is represented by someone crying because the door is like not open, but there's a key right beside it. And it's like all you gotta do is use the key to open the door. So you don't even want to do that. You would rather stay stuck than to keep yourself out. Right? And when we talk about relationships even further, I wrote Popeye versus Brutus. How many times as a kid have we seen Popeye? He's a sailor man, right? He's gentleman. He's like, hey, come on in. Like, I want you to do this and have fun. He's that man. He's that, I know what I want. I work out. I live it. I eat good. Right? He gets the girl, right? Because he is emotionally aware and emotionally available. Because he knows he doesn't have a problem crying. He doesn't have a problem sharing emotions. But guess what Brutus does? This is like being I can do whatever. I can throw my weight around. I can get the girl. Instead of Popeye's like, olive oil, come with me. Brutus is like, come here, you home with me. You ain't asked. You have almost all kind of boundaries. You trying to throw your weight around as if you're a king. And really, he's just a young little boy who didn't know how to process his emotion, didn't know how to ask properly. So guess what he does? He just takes without asking. And when you really think about it, and I'm going to put this out so people can really think about it. When you think about when people are crossing boundaries, think of it this way. It's just like it's just like rape. When you have to cross boundaries, when somebody has a boundary and you don't cross them, you are raping. Because you're taking what's not yours. You're just taking without asking. Because you feel entitled. Why do you feel entitled to what somebody else has worked for? Why do you feel entitled to somebody else's body, to somebody else's mind? Why? The rapist always has something going on that makes them feel this big. And when somebody feels this big, they get that Napoleon syndrome, right? They try to make themselves bigger than what they are. And so they blow their weight around. They got to show these emotions. And if everybody's afraid of me, then that means they got to listen to what I say. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to say it like this. And sometimes I look at people who do that and I'm just like, okay, I hear you and I see you, but it's not.
Yeah.
As an actor, I'm trained to study people.
Right.
So it's not giving Academy Award, it's giving you attention to something.
Right.
And sometimes when I have conversations with people like that, they get locked up. They get frustrated. How do you see it? Because I know what someone healed looks like.
And you read energy. You're an energy reader, so you can pinpoint when someone is putting on a performance.
Exactly. And that's why I say, like, whenever in the dating world, I often use this terminology and people look at me and I said, that's why when someone comes towards me, I'm like, be sure you're reading because I don't lie.
Damn.
I may give the appearance of lying. I promise you.
Not even.
There's an alpha male in this body. I just know how to use my power the correct way. Why? Because I've had to heal. I've had to go through some traumas. I've had to sit with myself. I've had to meditate. I always get yourself grounded for you to see what you need to get.
Mhm.
And guess what? When I stopped overworking, it was because I sat with myself and I realized what I was doing. When I stopped accepting people and stopped,
Mhm.
I was talking to my mother earlier today and I said, you would think that I'm a multi-millionaire the way people ask me for money. You would think I'm a multi-millionaire. And I can see this publicly. While I was on this channel, even in the past year, there have been times when I was struggling because I was emotionally tapped to handle that as others do. I stopped working December 30th. Guess what? My bills have been paid because Spirit said, I need you to align and heal. I need you to let go of excess back because I need for you to understand why he was working the way he was working. I need you to get back to the person that I created. And the only way for me to do that was to stop working. And like I said, bills have been paid and I have not been working. I just started my new job yesterday.
Ew. That's right.
And guess what? It's doing stuff that I can do naturally. My team lead told me today, I don't have too much to train. I already talked to the big boss. You already on her radar.
That's right.
Oh, day two, and I'm already on the big boss's radar.
That's right.
This is what healing looks like.
Looks good on you.
Healing will have you in your natural energy, doing what you do naturally, which means it's effortlessly.
Mhm.
I don't have to put in that much energy for something I know how to do naturally. And one of the things that my team told me, like, I can't teach you how to do it. I can only teach you what we do. You naturally will create the space and the opportunity. But an unhealed person can't be themselves naturally. Why? Because they're putting on that. They're putting on excess weight and things that they don't need. And that is why. So now we come back to the butterfly. Because a lot of people, if they're not a butterfly, they're caterpillars. And what are caterpillars? The youthful butterfly, meaning that they refuse to transform and become an adult. They will rather be a worm all the days of their life. And what's that? School days, they call them worms. Who wants to be online? Who wants to be pledging all their entire life?
Mhm.
Who wants to be a front their entire life and not say, oh, I finally crossed over into, finally became a, who wants to be a worm? So my brother, I need you to get out of that energy. I'm trying to always be a worm. I'm always trying to crawl your way to life. Right? It's the same image as the scripture, and I'm literally seeing this as when the man at the pool of Bethesda. That's what I'm seeing. When Jesus looked at him, he was like, why are you not here? And he's like, because nobody put me in the pool. And he looked at him, he's like, well, sir, you a wrong man, right? And I'm giving a modern day depiction. He's looking at him like, you a wrong man. What you mean? Oh, pick up your bed and get in the pool. And you know the time is coming. Why are you just sitting? And it said that the man had issues. I don't really recall it. And excuse me because I haven't read that verse in a while. But I don't really recall him saying that the man had they just said that he was sick. I don't recall him saying that he couldn't use his legs. But even if he couldn't use his legs, he had mobility. How many times have you seen somebody in a wheelchair that because they are paraplegic from the waist down, but they are strong, have that strong upper mobility? So you put them all the way to the pool. You just wanted somebody to put you in. So I'm gonna tell the brothers, I'm not even going there. I'm just gonna tell you, brother, I need you to pick up your pen and get it. I need you to start here. I need you to become the man that you're supposed to become. I need you to realize that you are a king, and I don't care what race, nationality you are a king in your own right. And your bloodline depends on your kingship, right? Mm-hmm. I need you to understand that it's very easy to keep producing, right? But if you don't just keep producing, you'll be a worm producing other worms. Are you going to be a prince producing other princes and not becoming the king to produce other king? You're cutting your own bloodline short. Let me get to the card. Because I said, what energy is this? Air energy, but it says cycles. Air energy, but it says cycles. And guess what? Did I not just talk about reproducing? Mm-hmm. We're in Luther and have all these things because eggs represent fertility, mm-hmm. which means you can be as fertile as you want to, but that doesn't make you mature. Facts. Again, just because you doesn't mean that you're mature. It doesn't mean you have reached maturity. And it says, follow the cycle of nature and you will be really disappointed as energy travels in cycles. As energy travels in cycles. And 2 words is the next sentence. It says, seek balance. There is a time and a season for everything. Plants cannot blossom all the time, so be patient. And guess what? When a man is not fully healed, always patient. Mm-hmm. Because things happen easily. And when you plant a seed, just like fertility, when a man impregnates a woman, does it not take at least 9 months for the child to be? Sometimes it goes over, sometimes it's early, right? But it still takes time for that sperm to be ready, for it to become an embryo, mm-hmm. for it to grow into what we call a human being, right? It takes time. And when a man is unhealed, it's, I want this now. I'm impatient. I can't learn this way. I can't do this thing. Why can't you? Because it's not readily available. Even the earth took 7 days to be created. And if you are a science buff, you will know that's roughly around 7,000 years. And so let me read you the other thing. So the magic. I said hair magic has always been linked to the lunar cycle and the fertility cycle of women. For those who wish to achieve pregnancy, call in hair magic to help you conceive and balance your cycle. For those who are not interested in reproduction, hair magic can be used to quicken up the pace of outcomes or to increase your connection with other cycles. So in this context, for this week, it's time for the men to increase their connection with other cycles. It is time for you to stop being in that same cycle. And I've seen the world card energy as I'm saying this. and it's time for you to go to this next cycle in your life. The one where you start producing things, the one where you start believing in yourself, the one where you are encouraged to do beyond your norm, to go beyond the limits that you place on yourself. Because we place limits on our ends for everybody. We put limits on ourselves all the time.
We do.
And I was talking to someone earlier tonight, and I said, you know what? I'm proud of you, because even on the days that you feel like you're stagnant, you're still doing something towards your goal. Like you're doing something. If you're not studying, you're at least reading a book. You're at least meditating every day. I know people who won't even do any of those things. And they say they want a better life. Okay, well, having a better life, you should have to do something different. You should have to get out of it,
Right.
or just sitting around and doing nothing and doing something. Like I also told my mother, I was like, I haven't posted a picture of my body, you know, my
Your body.
Your body from head to toe, right? And I was like, you'll be proud of me. I said, because I started moving a little bit more weight. I was like, I know I was going to the gym, but I recognized that I wasn't getting as much cardio as I did. So I started walking. My clothes fit different. I just bought a belt, and my gosh, it's already to the last hole.
Let me find out.
I've been able to do this since I was in college. Maybe I'm 20 years out of college. I don't.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, put that in there.
But I'm just saying, it's like when you start to do the thing, when you start to get out of your comfort zone, when you start to do things different, and you start to see everything.
Right.
So that was the card for the night. And
that's right. Listen, baby, you ate and ain't leave no damn crumbs, okay? And I love that this episode was dedicated to the men, to all the men, because they needed to hear this, honestly. And you gave it from a male's perspective, you know, because sometimes things are heard different when it's this, you know, given from a man's perspective. So I'm so glad that you were able to deliver it through by way of the tarot card. So thank you so much for giving us that read that we didn't even know that we needed. You did your big one with that one, baby. Okay. You did your big one. All right. So you already know what time it is. Hey yo! You already know what time it is. It's time for Ask B. All right. That's time we put tarot to the test, and we ask you guys to ask B. And this is a time where you can just throw all your restrictions away and ask him anything under the sun. All right. Love, past life, career, that weird dream you had last night. Nothing is off limits. All right. So this is your time to ask B. And while you guys are trying to figure out what question to ask B, we just want to thank you guys for rocking with us for so long. We are, what are we at? 64 episodes in? 65 episodes in. 65 episodes in, and you guys have been rocking with us so far. So we just want to give you guys a huge thank you for supporting us, for loving us, for valuing this show. And we thank you guys for all the shares, for all the likes, for all the comments. We truly appreciate it. We do this for you. We are on here every Tuesday night into the witching hours for you, okay? So we really appreciate it. And B got to get up and listen. So do I. So we love you guys, okay? We love what we do, and we do it because this is our soul's purpose. So we appreciate you guys for rocking out with us for as long as you have done, okay, for as long as you have. We love y'all. So if anyone has any questions to ask me, now is your time. A couple of people that weren't able to ask a question last week, so now is your chance to ask me. All right, this is the time where you put tarot to the test and ask me. And so you guys know my services are sold out for all of the compatibility duties. completely sold out. I've been getting a lot of people asking, have I opened up the books? I have not. So they are currently closed. The only things that are open currently are ask one question, I believe, and I think that's it. I think just ask one question is open. But all of the compatibility and readings are completely sold out. All right. And I will let you guys know when they are open back up. But currently they are sold out. So thank you guys for all of your services. Do we have anybody that wants to ask B? Anybody? We had a lot of people last week that weren't able to ask their questions. So now is your time. Now is your time to ask B. Anybody. And it's okay if you guys are shy. Listen, we get a lot of people that want to DM questions. And what I'll start doing for a lot of people that are shy, um, what I'll do is I'll allow you guys to DM the question and then I'll read it. And then your response, I'll just chop it up and I'll be able to just slide that in the DM. Because a lot of people don't like asking live. We have a lot of people that are shy, camera shy, even though they're just in the comments. It's listen, a lot of people don't like their business on Front Street. So if you're one of them people, slide in my DM or you can slide in the healing room Carol's DM. You can ask your question and what we'll do is we'll just recite it live next week. Because we get a lot of people. Thank you so much, T Visionary 007. Peace and light, cosmic royalties. We really appreciate it. Let's pin this comment. Like it's giving light. It's giving love. It's giving loyalty, okay? You are so fucking loyal. Every Tuesday. Thank you. We appreciate you. So yeah. So if no one has any questions, listen, that's fine. We're not gonna beat it out of you, okay? If you want to send it to the DM, send it to the DM and we'll read it next week. But we love you guys. And I am so glad we were able to get to this topic. It was so long overdue. And I'm glad that we didn't do it during Men's Month because I think that this needs to be talked about beyond the month that we celebrate men. Okay? Healing does not have a particular month that we need to celebrate or honor. We should be healing every day.
Yes.
We should be healing every day.
Let's do it. Let's start the healing process now so that our fans land. We can start seeing what this shift happened. What men are doing that. Right? Yes. I'm tired of hearing this that is always negative. I want to hear that we as men are doing better. Like I even see the graduation. I love the graduation. But again, that doesn't equate to maturity. It doesn't equate to emotional intelligence. So I want to start seeing the men yeah, we want to see more of it. Keep up the good work, but we want to see it consecutively. Okay, not just on certain days or on holidays. We want to see it consecutively. So keep it up. We're proud of you, but every day. Do something little for yourself every day, okay? Baby steps. All right, so this will conclude tonight's episode of Cards and Conversations, my beautiful soul family. So always remember, the cards do not dictate your fate, okay? They simply illuminate your choices. So choose wisely, my beautiful people. Choose wisely, love deeply, and stay aligned. And if you don't know, we hold this show every Tuesday. Same time, same place, 11, Cards and Conversations, where every episode unfolds a deck of intrigue and the cards up. Hold the cards up. Listen. Okay, spread. Where every episode unfolds a deck of intrigue and discussions. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. We love you guys. Thank you for being so loyal. Next week, guys, 11/11 Tuesday.